The White House meeting between U.S. President Donald Trump and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu took on historic region-changing proportions as Trump proposed a U.S. takeover of the Gaza Strip and the relocation of nearly 2 million residents to Egypt, Jordan, and elsewhere. ILTV's Steve Leibowitz reports.
The meeting between President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu yielded many headlines, but none bigger than Trump's proposal that the U.S. take over Gaza and move its residents.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area.
While meeting Netanyahu and in the press conference following, Trump declared that the U.S. could seize control over Gaza and permanently displace the entire Palestinian population of the war-devastated enclave. Trump said that all 2 million Palestinians from Gaza should be moved to countries like Egypt and Jordan after the war started by Hamas's attack on Israel on October 7th, 2023.
I know they've spoken about it with you, and they say they're not going to accept. I say they will. But I think other countries will accept also. I think that Gaza maybe is a demolition site right now. If you look at Gaza, there's hardly a building standing, and the ones that are going to collapse. You can't live in Gaza right now, and I think we need another location. I think it should be a location that's going to make people happy.
Trump said the U.S. will take over Gaza and do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for rebuilding Gaza into a mecca for jobs and tourism.
And I don't want to be cute, I don't want to be a wise guy, but the Riviera of the Middle East, this could be something that could be so bad, this could be so magnificent.
Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Trump coordinated in Washington on several other crucial matters, including the second phase of the hostage ceasefire deal, the potential Israeli normalization with Saudi Arabia, and the prevention of Iranian nuclearization. ILTV's Devo Klein has more.
Just ahead of meeting Prime Minister Netanyahu, President Trump signed a wide-ranging list of measures against Iran. During their meeting, U.S. President Trump reaffirmed his stance against Iran obtaining nuclear weapons.
You know, I signed a very strong proclamation. Iran was in big trouble when I left. They were broke. They didn't have money for Hamas. They didn't have any money for Hezbollah. You had no problem. October 7th could have never happened. When I left, October 7th could have never happened. But they're not weak. They're not weak. They're strong. Doesn't mean they won't be weak. But you know what? We just don't want them to have a nuclear weapon. They can't have a nuclear weapon.
When asked about normalization between Israel and Saudi Arabia, President Trump said that the Saudis did not put up a demand for a Palestinian state.
The Saudis demanding a Palestinian state?
No, they're not. No.
Are they demanding a path towards a Palestinian state or any other recognition
Everybody's
of that sort?
demanding one thing. You know what it is? Peace. We want peace. We want people to stop being killed. But everybody's demanding one thing. Very simple, peace. And he wants peace also.
When asked about the next phase of the hostage ceasefire deal, Prime Minister Netanyahu said he favors getting all hostages out and meeting all war goals.
Do you support going forward with this deal and getting all the hostages out?
I support getting all the hostages out and meeting all our war goals that include destroying Hamas's military and governing capabilities and making sure that Gaza never poses a threat to Israel again.
Are you really?
All three.
President Trump made clear that he would never forget the images of October 7th and said this.
It's a horrible thing. We can't forget it. I'll never forget it, and you can't forget it. And some people want to put it out of their memory, but we're not going to ever let that happen. It was a horrible day, October 7th. That was a horrible period of time. And a lot of people like to pretend it didn't happen. It happened. It's a big group of people that like to pretend it didn't happen, like the Holocaust didn't happen. Same mindset. No, we're going to get this thing wrapped up, and we're going to get it done.
And joining me now to discuss all of this is former ambassador to the U.S., Danny Ayalon. Thank you, Danny, for joining.
My pleasure.
So, Danny, the biggest headline from last night's meeting seems to be President Trump's statement that the U.S. will take control of Gaza and relocate its residents. And while this certainly makes for a striking, flashy headline, how realistic is this plan, in your opinion? And how serious do you think President Trump is about pursuing it?
Well, I think the president was quite serious, but it also may be a negotiation tactic because he always, and we have seen this method when in other issues like with Canada or Mexico or Panama, he sets a very high bar and then he has much more room to maneuver and negotiate. This may be the case here, but quite frankly, if you take out the political I would say, argumentation or the political gist, it does make sense because Gaza is a demolition site. I guess Trump, given his great experience, vast experience as a builder, he knows how to do these things. Also, the fact that he offered the United States to do it, it's also because of their good experience and they have the expertise, but also I think this can bring billions, if not dozens of billions of dollars to the United States Treasury. And indeed, this is out of the box thinking, and we will see how it is received. Right now, we know that just as a knee-jerk reaction, all the Arab countries said no, the Palestinians said no. We'll see what the people of Gaza say. It's the same thing. If you remember, in just a few years ago in Syria, because of the war situation in Syria, 6 million Syrians left Syria. So here we're talking about 2 million, and especially as you have a lot of room. You know, there is a vast expanse of land just adjacent to Gaza in the Sinai. So we'll have to wait and see. In any case, it is, you know, having people not only scratching their heads, but people will have to think proactively. That will include, of course, the leaders in the region.
Yeah, for a U.S. president to have this kind of courage or audacity to make these kind of remarks it's pretty incredible. Now, after this meeting between President Trump and a first foreign leader that he's met with, Benjamin Netanyahu, what other elements stood out to you, Danny? Was there anything in particular that resonated during this discussion?
Yes, as you mentioned, I think the fact that Netanyahu was the first one invited to the White House as a foreign leader, especially still within the first 2 weeks of Trump's presidency. It has not been there more than 2 weeks in the Oval Office and really being busy with all the issues of domestic things that they have there with hundreds of executive orders. And then he has time not only for Israel and its prime minister, but also for the Middle East. And I think that shows how high it is on the priority of the president to make peace in the Middle East. And we know what are the elements with Saudi Arabia, with the moderate Sunni countries. An American-led alliance here in the Middle East would be the strongest message to the axis of evil, whether it's Iran or Russia or China. So I think this is very much high on the agenda, and it is achievable. And of course, in order to make this region prosperous and stable again, you have to bring down the Iranian regime. He's not talking in these terms yet, but first and foremost, Iran has to just shed its nuclear capabilities. And I think here the president was very serious.
Now, Netanyahu emphasized that his priorities include both the release of all the hostages and dismantling Hamas to ensure it no longer poses a threat to Israel. Do you think these two objectives are in conflict? Will we see phase 2 of the deal unfold soon?
Well, everybody wants to see this phase 2 complete. Everybody wants to see all the hostages back home here with their people, with their families. Another maybe ramification of this Trump's idea of relocating the Gazans is that it may put more pressure on Hamas, because there is a way now to tell the Gazans, if you don't want to leave, if you want to stay, then in the least, Hamas has to relocate. And I think this is also one of the objectives of the war, that Hamas will never be in will not have any standings in Gaza, not militarily and not from a civilian point.
Speaking of this, we've heard Netanyahu plans to replace the Shin Bet and Mossad chiefs on the negotiating team and appoint Ron Dermer instead. What do you think such a move signals about Israel's strategy moving forward?
I think that it has become much more political now, given the fact that most of the technical, I would say, points of the negotiation has been already achieved, and it's all in writings. Now it's a matter of the political will and political maneuvers, maybe. Near as I can recall, the head of the Shin Bet was very happy with that, and he was quite endorsing this idea of giving a political figure running the negotiations and not a one which is like head of Shabak.
Daniel Elon, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
The strong comments made by President Donald Trump have caught some Israelis off guard with his direct comments regarding the future of Gaza and what it could mean to the country. ILTV's Shosh Bedrosian is here to make sense of it as she reports from Tel Aviv.
Well, Israelis woke up to the comments President Donald Trump made overnight in reference to Gaza, specifically saying he wants the U.S. to not only take it over, but to own the land inside of Gaza, and even saying he potentially sees it as the Riviera of the Middle East. Of course, this has Israelis looking inward at themselves, what this could mean for them and the future of their country. A potentially new future for Gaza. What does it entail and how will it impact Israelis? That's the question everyone has on their mind here. With some critics calling Trump's plan, quote, outlandish and, quote, unrealistic, his remarks touch the hearts of some Israelis who see the future of Gaza. Some wonder whether there would be a return of Jews to Gush Katif, an area of Israeli settlements until disengagement in 2005. Here's what some Israelis had to say about Trump's comments.
Well, if I understand Trump correctly, Gaza may become a new Miami Beach, and if he can get any of these other countries to take these Gazan refugees and let them go someplace else, problem solved.
To see, the end result is peace, one way or the other. He's not got similar ideas to people in the past. Perhaps his ideas will bear some fruit. He's an extreme man, but, it seems like he's a lot more measured than he was last time, a lot more organised and ready for this, so perhaps he's got a plan.
Well, I'm not in favour of it at all, and I think it would be bad for Israel. I think what Trump has suggested last night, unfortunately, I think will be unhelpful for the release of the hostages, because I think Hamas is less likely to want to go along with the negotiations if it means that they've got to withdraw and then Trump would follow up with his plan. So I think it's unhelpful for the hostages.
It's unclear if President Donald Trump's comments about Gaza will have any impact on the current negotiations happening inside of Doha in regards to the second phase of the ceasefire and hostage negotiation deal, which could free all the remaining hostages still in Hamas captivity at this time. Right now, we are expecting another hostage release to take place on Saturday. Sivan?
Thank you, Shosh. Judging by the reactions of Israeli Likud ministers, the Trump plan for Gaza is a welcomed game changer. Meanwhile, the Palestinians issued a statement of utter rejection. More from ILTV's Steve Leibowitz.
Among Likud cabinet ministers, Trump's call to remove Gazan residents and have the U.S. take over the enclave was received as nothing less than miraculous. Ministers from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government took to X to show their appreciation and enthusiasm for President Trump. Transport Minister Regev said this is what happens when two brave leaders meet. Energy Minister Eli Cohen said it's an historic day for the state of Israel, the Middle East, and the world. Knesset Speaker Ohana described it as the dawn of a new day. Culture and Sports Minister Mickey Zohar posted, "We have a great Prime Minister and an amazing American President. thank God for this miracle they performed for the people of Israel. Finance Minister Smotrich said, "Together, the U.S. and Israel will make the world great again." The Palestinian reaction was one of total rejection. The PA said it rejected all calls for the displacement of the Palestinian people from their homeland. A statement went on to demand a two-state solution. A Hamas spokesman demanded a U.S. retraction of the plan.
نحن نرفض بشدة تصريحات الرئيس ترامب بخصوص ترحيل شعبنا الفلسطيني من قطاع غزة وبخصوص سيطرة أمريكا على قطاع غزة. هذه التصريحات تعكس تخبط وجهلا عميقا بفلسطين وبالمنطقة. غزة بالتأكيد ليست أرضا مشاعا، وهي ليست عقارا يباع ويشترى. الانحياز الأمريكي لإسرائيل وضد شعبنا الفلسطيني وضد حقوقه العادلة يعني يستمر ويتأكد بمثل هذه التصريحات.
Reacting to Trump's comments about a Palestinian state, Saudi officials said there would be no normalization without Palestinian statehood. Regarding Gaza, the Saudis said they reject any attempt to displace the Palestinians from their land, and its stance is non-negotiable.
As Israel continues to face the impact of ongoing conflict, it's critical that we support not only the immediate needs of its people, but also the deep-rooted connection to the history and pioneering spirit that have shaped the nation. Two organizations standing at the forefront of this effort are the Jewish National Fund USA and the Society for Preservation of Israel Heritage Sites, or SPICE, whose work is more essential now than ever before. In addition to providing essential mental wellness programs for displaced families, they're also ensuring that Israel's rich history is accessible to all through engaging activities that help strengthen resilience and the Zionist spirit. Today, we're joined by Shahar Hermelin, a leader in these efforts, to discuss the ways JNF USA and SPICE are supporting communities across Israel during this challenging time. Shahar, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
In light of the ongoing challenges faced by Israeli families, can you tell us more about the We Come to You program and how these heritage-based activities are helping displaced families?
Yes, it started a few days into the war. We were forced to shut down all the 200-plus heritage sites we oversee. And in addition, we knew that we had to do something to help hundreds of thousands of displaced brothers and sisters. So because we couldn't bring them to heritage site at that point, we started to send our teams, our education teams and volunteers from sites that were closed to do all kinds of activities at the evacuation centers, more than 50 evacuation centers around the country. And as usual, the first organization that stepped up and helped us was Jewish National Fund USA. We've been working together for over 25 years. And we brought all kinds of lectures and games and activities for the people at the evacuation centers, kids and adults alike, to help them spend some time doing something else, and in addition, to teach them about our heritage and our history.
Now, SPICE is offering free guided tours at over 200 heritage sites to those most affected by the war. How do these tours go beyond simply teaching history, and what role do they play in bolstering national resilience?
Yeah, so as you said, we are bringing many groups to heritage sites. And now it's not just a history lesson. Ever since October 7th, we see much strong connection to our history and to heritage. People get it better. What happened to our parents and grandparents, what they had to go through in order to bring us to where we are today. And we hear it from many visitors in heritage sites. They come to us after the tour and we say, we get it better now. We understand, because there is a very strong connection between what they had to go through during the War of Independence and what some people, especially in the South, had to go through on October 7th. People again had to come out from their homes in their pajamas and underwear to defend their families and communities. And we see a very strong linkage between the two.
Finally, how are you planning to renovate and preserve the heritage sites that were damaged in the war and update the displays to include a chapter about the heroics of October 7th?
Yeah, so first of all, quite a few heritage sites, both in the south and in the north, were physically damaged during the war, either because of direct rocket hits or whatever. So first we need to renovate, rebuild, and preserve those buildings. And again, We're doing it together with Jewish National Fund USA as part of their master plan, Rebuild Together. And in addition, as you said, now there is a new chapter to be told because of the strong connection between the War of Independence and October 7th events. Now we will need those sites that used to tell only the story of the War of Independence to tell that chapter of what happened on October 7th, how the people had to come out and defend their communities and families once again. And we will do it with modern exhibitions and, of course, with photos, videos, whatever we can find to tell that chapter as well, not just the story of the War of Independence. And I'm sure that when people will come and visit those sites, once they're renovated and upgraded, they will understand both stories much better, which is essentially one story, how we made it through the years, both through the War of Independence and, of course, through the current war.
Shachar Hermelin, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Released hostages continue to celebrate life and moments together as they adjust to their new lives since being freed from Hamas captivity. This as the 5 female soldiers plan on returning home today from Beilinson Hospital. ILTV's Shoshbit Rosian has the details on their emotional recoveries.
Inside Beilinson Hospital in Petah Tikva, the 5 female soldiers released from Hamas captivity watch from a balcony as a musical performance is about to take place. Music brings people together. The harmonic sounds are designed to soothe those who listen. And for the 5 female soldiers receiving medical treatment at the hospital, it was an exciting moment as they watched from above the musical performance take place. Nama Levy, Karina Ariev, Agam Berger, Liri Albag, and Daniela Gilboa watch in awe together, side by side, linking arms and even creating hearts together with their hands. Berger, who was the last female soldier to be released from captivity, is a talented violinist and stood watching in the middle of the girls. As they recover, the 5 Thai hostages released on Saturday have emotional reunions with their families in Israel at Shamir Medical Center. From big embraces, as some of them are moved to tears, the Thai hostages hadn't seen their families in months, as many moved to Israel to work on farms and kibbutzim to provide for their families back home.
They will leave Israel on Saturday, on February 8th, and I'm sure that they will remember all kinds of hospitalities rendered to them. And for me, on behalf of the embassy, I would like to thank once again everyone involved for this successful mission.
The Thai hostages said they were held 24 hours a day in a locked room with armed guards in Gaza. They saw no sunlight for nearly their entire captivity and dreamed of food as they ate very little per day.
Now let's take a look at the weather forecast. Israel is heading into a storm, quite literally. Rainy showers are expected around most of the country tonight, with temperatures reaching lows of around 9 degrees Celsius or 48 degrees Fahrenheit. Then tomorrow we'll see more rainy showers alongside steady temperatures, seeing highs of 12 degrees Celsius or 54 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a wrap for today's news. For the latest updates from Israel on all your devices, be sure to follow our ILTV channel, subscribe to our newsletter, and explore our website, iltv.tv. Stay informed with the latest news straight from the heart of Israel. I'm Sivan Raviv. Be well, be safe, and thank you so much for watching.